in high school, I couldn't wait to be out of high school. I just want to get onto college and, you know,
Yeah.
do the college to get to college. It's awesome for a little bit. Now I just want to sign and start my career and play baseball, sign with the Braves in 2000, get in the minor league system. It's a blast. That's really cool for about a year. And then, man, if I just get to the big leagues, then I'll be fulfilled. Like that's it. Make it to the major leagues. Man, if I could just make $1 million. Man, if I could just make 10, it's just never good enough.
Yeah.
And all these things in this world that we chase, fame, status, women, drugs, alcohol, you name it. I don't think there's a man that's ever lived that has achieved them and been fully satisfied.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Mountain Tough Podcast. I am Dustin Defender, host and CEO of Mountain Tough, and I'm so glad that you are here. I love seeing you dive back into these episodes week after week, and remember, it is our goal every single episode to bring you an inspiring guest that dives into that mental toughness, that mindset, and that mental fitness that gives you some tools so that you can apply those tools to your life. That way you can stay dangerous, stay always ready so that you can live this abundant life. If you are a new listener to the Mountain Tough Show, I do want to make sure you know about the code Mountain Pod, all caps, all one word. Mountain Pod gets you 6 weeks of free training on the Mountain Tough app. That app is available everywhere that apps are going to stream: iPhone, Android, Roku, so that you can train anytime, anywhere. That code gets you 6 weeks free, unlocking all of our physical, mental, spiritual, nutritional programming. It's the best way to start, and it is the best way to kick off 2025 in the right direction if you're not currently a Mountain Tough Plus subscriber. Shifting gears now to today's show. On the Mountain Tough Podcast today, we have Adam LaRoche. Adam is a very, very well-known MLB baseball player. He retired early, and he retired early over some family values, and also so that he could focus where God was calling him, and God was calling him into stateside anti-trafficking work. So he has this foundation now where they do focus on combating stateside anti-trafficking. We're going to talk about that and the work that he's doing. I am familiar with that work, with what I've been doing with Covenant Rescue Group. So a lot of similarities there, a lot to dive into. But we're also going to unpack his faith journey and how faith has shaped the decisions he made when it came to professional baseball. So please stand by for my conversation with Adam LaRoche. The lives of people who move the needle of history are ones not defined by what they were able to achieve, but by what they were able to overcome. Did you get out and do quite a bit of whitetail hunting this year?
Man, not a ton because of the trafficking work. We just had a ton going on in November and December. I got out a little bit. I shot one.
Okay.
It was really cool. It's funny, I don't hunt near as much now as when I played. And I thought when I was done playing, I thought, okay, I'm going to spend the entire hunting season, Alaska, Montana, here at the Ram, just going to travel and hunt.
Mm-hmm.
God had a different agenda, but it's obviously been way more rewarding. So I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I don't get out near as much now, but when I do, I just really enjoy it and appreciate it more. So It's been good.
There's an element to that, the trafficking work also that's a lot like hunting as well. I mean, some of the same skill sets.
It really is. Yeah, it takes some patience, thought, strategy there, and you're right.
When did you start feeling and seeing some signs and some affirmation that God was calling you into that work?
Man, before 2014, I didn't know what the word trafficking meant. And
Mm-hmm.
I got met a buddy that was a former youth pastor. Um, Moved over to Thailand quite a few years before this. Started doing some work over there, and he just told me one spring training, he's like, "Man, you just got to come check it out. Like I can sit here and tell you about it all day, but until you see it, it's just hard to grasp like
Mm,
the evil." And so as soon as the season was over, I went over there and spent some time with him, and it just wrecked me. Um,
man.
and yeah, we can get into that more on kind of how God made it very clear that that's the lane He wanted me in.
Mm. Yeah, let's start with that. What year was that you got into it?
In 14,
Okay.
I think it was the off season of 14. Yeah, so it would have been that fall.
What year did you retire?
16.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
God, it's hard to believe it's been almost 10 years, man. Sometimes it feels like it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Getting old.
That's interesting because God kind of showed you a glimpse of it before you made the decision to retire. Do you feel like he was preparing you for it a little bit?
Man, I think all of baseball was preparing me for this.
Mm,
Not from like TTPs or anything on the actual work side, but just from a relationship side. It's been amazing how many doors, because of what I used to do,
yeah.
how many doors it's opened. Um, and man, I have no shame in using that. If it's for kingdom work and it
Mm,
gets us in a door somewhere, in a meeting somewhere, whatever the need is, that's been just time after time has been pretty evident. That just because what I used to, or the years when I was playing, just the relationships made,
mm-hmm.
over time, whether it was with cops around the country or other NGOs that work globally or people within government. I played in DC for quite a few years. So just met a lot of people that work in the government there and a lot of guys from the soft community
Mm-hmm.
that just some really cool stories on some areas overseas that I knew nobody, and I'd reach out to some guy that I thought was deployed there at one time, and then he's got a fixer there that's a good friend of his and connects us with it. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
the lift has gotten a lot lighter because of relationships in those areas. So it's been incredible.
That's wild how God works that way because
I know.
when you're in it, you don't realize that's what's happening until you kind of look back over big chunks of time to see that like he had you there for this next chapter. But when you're in that first chapter, none of that
You
is
don't.
clear.
That's right. None of it is.
Yeah, we were talking offline a little bit that and the Mountain Tough listeners have heard Jared come on the podcast from Covenant Rescue Group, but his story is really similar to that on how God used some things that felt maybe at the time kind of like a disappointment for everything that he's doing now. So when he got done with the teams, he ran for sheriff of Jefferson County, Alabama. And Jefferson County is the largest county in Alabama. So there's a lot of people there. And he ended up losing the sheriff's race, but he only lost by 2%. So it was like 5,000 votes ish. And so he was at the moment, disappointed that he didn't make sheriff, but then he got into trafficking. And every single person he met, through that sheriff's campaign became a key component of all the work he needed to do on the trafficking side. And so it's a lot like what happened to you.
Dude, that is a defeat, or what we might think is a failure, could be one of God's greatest victories, and just line up. And like you said, you probably don't notice it until maybe years down the road sometimes. And you look
Mm-hmm.
back and you go, oh, okay, that's why that happened.
Yeah.
Or that's why that didn't happen. That's why that didn't work out at the time. And I'm still pretty stupid, and it takes me a long time to like process that and trust that. And I'll still fall into you know, the forcing it or doing it, trying to do it my way. And
Yeah.
you would think at 45 years old I would be smart enough to like foresee that ahead of time, but nope.
It's tough. I'm the same way. Well, I know that you can't share everything about what you're doing. Some of it, is confidential on the trafficking side, but what what can you share as far as kind of a brief overview on the work that you guys are up to?
Man, we can talk about most of it because, again, similar to what's it, Jared? Is that his
Yeah.
name?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We just kind of refer to it as training and advising. It's real similar. So that's kind of a softer way to explain what
Mm-hmm.
we do. And it's true. I mean, a lot of it is. So we really have two lines of effort. One is proactive work, which we're doing this week, and that's set up, weeks in advance with local law enforcement in whatever state or jurisdiction that is. And we're all, because we're all law enforcement operating out of jurisdiction, we're just written into their op plan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's much easier to talk about. And then we also have our line of effort one, which is the reactive stuff, which has been the hardest to launch because that's more no notice.
Yep.
Case comes in, girl pops up, and we just launch and then kind of figure it out as we get there.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know how that would go and how local cops would take that, just showing up in their jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there will be some snags at some point, but the last couple of years has been incredible of how welcoming law enforcement is, when we come in. Because I mean, cops talk to cops.
Yep.
So regardless of what jurisdiction you come in, and as another Leo, we've just been welcomed with open arms, and we do it. Fortunately, we've got a team that is just really humble about
Mm-hmm.
the work they do. So we do it in a way that, hey, this is your backyard, not ours. We absolutely want to play by your rules and just help fill any gaps we can. And here's the situation. And most of the time, they've got so much on their plate that they're like, hey, you guys have at it and let us know when and where you need us.
Hmm.
So if we need, uniform guys or marked cars or canines, they've just been great about
Helping out.
working around that. Oh, it's been really cool. Yeah.
Hey guys, I want to let you know about Jace Medical. I know a lot of Mountain Tough customers, a lot of Mountain Tough community members, those listening to this podcast are going on big hunts, massive expeditions all over the world. We love seeing that, and we love that you already know that you have to train physically for these trips. You have to train with your weapon. You need to be proficient with your weapon, but an often overlooked area of these expeditions is your personal medication. We actually just got back from a trip like this. The Mountain Tough crew went to Kyrgyzstan, and we needed the peace of mind of a customized medical kit that we could take with us, and we needed it at the exact time for this trip. So we went with Jace. We got our Jace case sent directly to us. We were able to grab it, open it up, throw it in our Kyrgyzstan pack, and take it with us. It gave us the peace of mind that in these international environments, we were going to be covered when it came to infection, GI issues, and anything else we were going to run into overseas medically. So check these guys out, an amazing company. The Jace case is going to come with 5 antibiotics that cover the 50 most common illnesses that you're going to run into anywhere in the world. But additionally, there's 29 add-ons that you can choose to customize your kit. So you can throw things in here like ivermectin, EpiPens, anything you need to customize it personally for you. So check these guys out. An amazing brand, amazing company, very practical for the Mountain Tough community. All you need to do is go to jacemedical.com and use the code MountainTough at checkout.
But every case is different, you know, every, and the biggest reason for that is because of how cross-jurisdictional these cases are. Like, traffickers aren't sitting in the same county typically, you know, for months on end. And we've got some fractures in our system with those jurisdictional boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an expert on that. I know it's not as easy as just, hey, open it up to where if you're commissioned, you can go work anywhere. I get it. I'm sure there's a ton of reasons why that doesn't make sense. But one of our niches has been that jurisdictions don't stop us. We'll just continue on and follow her until we, are able to locate her. And depending on her status and what her age, I mean, a lot of different factors there on what our parameters are and what we can do. And a lot of times, if they're an adult, I mean, unfortunately, you can't just kidnap them like you want to. You want to grab them and just shake them and bring them back to the ranch and like just get the wires that have been crossed, like get them just straightened out and understand what's going on. But you can't always do that. So a lot of times we got to walk away from them. And, that's the hardest part, as you may know.
Yeah.
When it's a girl in a really bad spot and she's just not ready.
Yeah. We've seen that.
And then what's been really cool is when we go after them a second time and get in front of them and just the surprise on their face of like, why would you care enough to come after me again? A lot of times that's when that trust is built, and then they're like, okay, I can trust these guys. And then we end up, some good things come out of that.
Man, yeah, that's amazing. And you guys also have a rehabilitation restoration component at the ranch?
No, we have partners that do that.
Okay.
So we've just got some awesome partners in the space that we can do a handoff with and make sure that, again, depending on their age and kind of their situation within that state. As you probably know, a lot of times these girls have warrants and they're on paper for other things, other legal issues. Then we have people that can help walk them through that and, get a lot of that taken care of in turn for them going to one of our partners, one of our aftercare partners.
Gotcha.
And going through a program.
So the work you're doing is focused stateside. Are you doing anything international?
Not a lot. And we have a crisis response kind of side of it. And we'll absolutely go wherever God needs us, but it's been less and less over the last couple of years. And I don't know if it's because we haven't been seeking it out as much, or I really don't know the reason for it. We still will. Like I was down in Haiti, down in Port-au-Prince, and just a few weeks ago to grab a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old that were in a bad spot down there in an orphanage, and then was able to get them back to Miami and do a handoff with their parents there. And, that was like a 4 or 5 day. So we'll still do some of that when cases or things come up, and it doesn't necessarily have to have a nexus to human trafficking. If it's somebody that's in a bad spot and we can do something about it, we'll take a really hard look at it and try to make something happen.
That's wild. And what do you, from your side, I've seen a bit of this on my side, but a lot of Americans don't realize how much actual trafficking type stuff is going on in country. What do you usually share with friends and colleagues around what what is kind of going on, how bad it is, kind of the state of the union a little bit on that stuff.
I just, I just tell them that I don't, not that I don't blame them. I don't expect them to know how big the problem is because it's just not overt right in your face. And it's really hard to see unless you're hunting it, and looking for it. I know statistically it's up there with some of the fastest growing criminal enterprises, and it's incredibly lucrative. And I would say to most people that it's not what you think it is. It's not. It doesn't look like what you think it would. It's not like the movies. It's not a snatch and grab white van kidnapping. I mean, that is so extremely rare in the U.S. That we say it's almost non-existent. Absolutely, it happens from time to time. There's a true kidnapping, and it's usually a familiar, like a family type thing, but it's all social media. I mean, it is the recruitment off of social media of these usually, a lot of times good looking college age kid that will be, they're very good at what they do, very persistent, and they will zero in on the vulnerable girls. A lot of times, obviously, girls that are in the foster care system, girls who don't have parents or do have parents, but they're not present in their lives. Dad's in prison, whatever. Girls that have dropped out of school, and they'll zero in on them and, come across as this knight in shining armor, that they thought they hit the lottery. And then the introduction to some drugs and some pornography, and then some, hey, we can make a little money here if you help me out and get out to Hollywood, and I'll open up my car dealership, you name it, whatever lines they feed them. And then I think, man, just in talking to, gosh, I don't know, hundreds of girls over the years, the very common theme is I didn't even realize what I was into until it was to the point where I had already crossed that line, and I was no longer able, in their mind, I was no longer able to come back to the other side of the street with like normal people.
Man.
Now this is where I belong.
Yeah.
This is what I deserve. And I'm just going to go into survival mode and, try to make it through it. Because as you know, when we go in to a hotel or house, I mean, you got to be just as worried about the girl stabbing you as the guy.
Yeah.
Because it's that initial like
shock,
defending their, boyfriend.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. And again, that takes a lot of times months, if not years, for them to realize what was really going on.
Hey guys, there are a lot of trends out there. And one trend that I've personally found in my own life through experience that has been a game changer is cold plunging and cold water therapy. The benefits for me have been off the charts when it comes to two main categories. The physical inflammation reduction from cold plunging every day has been a complete game changer, but my favorite part of cold water therapy has been the mental aspect, the mental clarity, the stress reduction, and most importantly, the ability to build mental toughness every day in a very simple way by just forcing myself to get in that cold water has been a drastic improvement that is easy, fast, and efficient. I've tried countless different ways to access cold water therapy, from the redneck version horse troughs to building my own cold plunge system off Amazon parts and pieces. Every time I've tried that, it has been a disaster until we found Ice Barrel. Ice Barrel is the most advanced barrel design on the market, and they have the most advanced high-tech chiller on the market as well. I've met the CEO, I've worked out with the CEO, we've had them at the lab. They're a great team, American-made manufacturing, and we're proud to announce that you can now access a discount on Ice Barrel products. All you need to do as a podcast listener is use the code MOUNTAINTOUGH. That's going to get you 15% off all ice barrels except the chiller. Again, that's Mountain Tough, all caps, all one word on icebarrel.com. Yeah, we're seeing the same thing as far as grooming online, and the the predators will groom for 6-9 months just trying to earn that girl's heart, and they do it, and they're very good at it, especially knowing that they're not in a rush and they're going to kind of take their time and kind of show up and support that girl over time, acting like someone else the whole entire time, maybe acting like someone the same age as them, or someone much younger, just hoping for that eventual meetup. And that eventual meetup might be, it's not 2 days from after the first interaction online. It might be 9 months. So they kind of build that relationship. Very psychological. It's wild.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. That trauma bondage, similar to like a Stockholm syndrome, where they just can't see it.
And how many children do you have?
Two, and I got 2 grandkids.
Nice.
So we started young, and our son started young. Yeah, so he got married, and he's got 2 kids. He's playing ball down in Valdosta, Georgia.
Awesome.
He's pitching down at Valdosta State, raising 2 kids, going to college, no money, and loving it. So it's good for him.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah, I was just thinking about, recommendations folks have for protecting their kids with, kind of these online dangers. And, based on what you've seen, what kind of recommendations you usually have?
I'm not a big fan of just taking the phone away. I just think that kids can get, just from my own and my parents, absolutely well intended, but that was the punishment, was whatever, just take it away, and my brothers and I, we were terrible. So we were constantly grounded, and everything was always taken away. We didn't have phones back then, obviously, but that mentality now, I think it's just too easy to, one, get a hold of another device or a friend's device or whatever. I think more so it's just, man, that's almost a whole nother podcast on just parenting. Not that I'm the expert at it, but I have had some experience, and I've learned a lot of the things not to do. So I think just, especially girls, for the work we're in, of understanding that not everybody that is on the other side of that app or that, social media platform is who you think they are. Don't let a few pictures or some friendly chatting, confuse the fact that it may be somebody else with different intentions than what they're letting on. And then, every parent wants their kids to tell them everything. Do you have kids?
I do. Yeah. 2 girls.
How old are they?
They're 12 and 10.
Okay. Oh, you're right in the middle of it. Gosh, I love it. You want those girls to feel like they can tell you everything. Well, I'm a big believer that we don't really give them permission to do that until we're willing to be vulnerable and tell them everything. And I'll never forget, and Drake was, man, he was probably 13 or something when I went to him and said, "Hey, dude, I'm struggling with pornography, and and I need you, like, as my buddy, to help hold me accountable and stay on me.
That's big time.
And just doing that, obviously it's embarrassing, and it's like, man, it's a chink in the armor, and our kids think we're bulletproof, and don't struggle with any of that. But just allowing him into my struggle was so cool. Just the change in that relationship of him being totally comfortable telling me anything he's going through.
Wow.
And so I think it's the same with girls and boys. We want them to come be wide open with us, but until we kind of show them
some vulnerability,
I don't know that we ever really give them permission to be open. And I'm glad I did that, because I got to see kind of the impact that had and change in our relationship, and how much more freeing it was for him to come share anything and everything, and just walk through it together.
Man, that had to be so hard, just because you're, as a father, you're always kind of trying to uphold that superhero image a little bit.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. But it's fake. I mean, it's not reality.
Yeah.
And we come from athlete side, from the military community. I'm sure there's a ton of others, but you kind of feel like I can't be the one struggling. I'm supposed to, and as a believer, like, man, I'm supposed to be the one that has all this figured out and helping everybody. So we can easily put on that mask of like, no, I'm good. I'm good. What's your struggles?
Yeah.
And it's just BS. I'm convinced that, and then I'm sure you've seen it. The more you get to know somebody, even pastors, I've gotten to know a ton of pastors over the years. And I used to look at pastors, and I'm like, I can't be that good.
Yeah. On a pedestal.
I cannot be that perfect. And then you get to know them. You're like, wait a minute. They're going through the same stuff.
Yeah.
The same struggles, the same, so anyway.
Yeah. No one's on a pedestal, even though I think we all go through a season of life where we think there are people that truly are on a pedestal. But then as you mature and grow, and just like you said, meet some people in these different leadership positions, we're all fallen, and we all are sinners, and we're all going through the same stuff. Which there's some freedom in kind of recognizing that.
Total freedom, but extremely hard to do for men, probably women too, I'm sure, but for men to have those real life conversations with other men and bring them into your struggles. Sadly, there's so many guys that'll never take that step, maybe never really have that opportunity, and never, experience that kind of freedom of letting the guard down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I did want to shift gears, and I did want to unpack your retirement a little bit, because I think that from my perspective, you retired when you could have kept playing a few more years. You retired when you didn't necessarily have to. And I think, part of that was you prioritized family over your career. Looks like you made some hard decisions to not chase the fame, the fortune, the materialism side of this world, and you kind of leaned into another direction, which is really, really difficult for a lot of people to make that same decision. Generally, we are going to have a hard time making that decision. We're going to continue to chase that fame and fortune. What was kind of going on in your world and your thought process and your mindset around that retirement year? I've used a ton of Bluetooth speakers over the years, and they all have never quite had enough output for me to really have an awesome home gym workout on a Bluetooth speaker. But the Turtle Box is in a whole new ball game. They have leveled up this product, so the bass and the output you get out of a Turtle Box is quite amazing. It's funny how we started using them at the lab. We had an awesome sound system at our new lab here in Bozeman. We were using it so much, we actually blew our brand new system out. We went right to the Turtle Boxes. And so we paired two together in the lab. And that was a lot of output for the Mountain Tough team and all of our testing to have phenomenal sound in our gym for a great workout with great music. We know there's a ton of Mountain Toughers training in their basements, in their garages, and I know a lot of you are looking for great sound to play some music in the background to your MGDs. This is a great product for you to check out. Turtle Box is at a whole new level. The bass and the volume you can get out of that box. It's a sweet product. You guys can check them out at turtleboxaudio.com. Use promo code TOUGH for a free Turtlebox hat with the purchase of a Gen 2 speaker. The hat must be added to your cart before entering the promo code TOUGH, TOUGH.
A lot, as you could imagine.
Yeah.
A big part of it was the family aspect, and I don't know how much you know about it or if you read on it at all. So we had the White Sox had a policy for a couple years that the kids had to be a certain age, and they were allowed, in the clubhouse. And I was pretty spoiled because before that, coming from the Nationals, Drake, our son, who was young at the time, but he was like basically the 26th man on the roster. Like he was what we would call a clubby, a support guy in the clubhouse, and just did really well around the guys. And it was just a big part of our kind of relationship was he would come to the field and put on the uniform and help. He'd go wash cars or shag in the outfield or put the ball on the tee for guys or clean up the clubhouse, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so going to Chicago, had the same thing there for the first year, and it was great. And then my second year coming back, they changed the policy. They changed the age. And Drake wasn't old enough anymore, so they said he wasn't going to be able to come to the field. And I mean, it was a really, really easy decision, believe it or not. But part of the reason it was so easy was because of this trafficking thing that I had seen, I guess the off season before.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 off seasons before. And so when I came back from that trip, I was already feeling kind of guilty that I was going to go play a game while this was going on. So I was already going into that spring training thinking, man, I don't know if God's wanting me to continue playing or get out of it.
Yeah.
And move on to something else. And so it was almost like that spring when they made that decision, it was almost like God giving me just one more nudge and one more point of clarity that it's time to step away. So I think the overall story probably made it sound like it was all about my son not being able to come to the field with me anymore.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of it, but that was just kind of the final straw, I think, to know it was time to step away.
Yeah, that's really interesting because of how rare it is to make it to the MLB, how hard it is to make it into Major League Baseball, how much it was a part of your whole life, how many, games you played as a kid and through college and then as an adult, how much of that consumed a large chunk of your life. And then to be able to walk away from that to go where God was calling you. I think that it is it's amazing that you kind of latched on to that and heard that was the calling and changed that direction. Because I think there can be a tendency, I think, for men to feel that calling but miss it. And I'm not sure, how long those windows are open for us.
Right. Right. Well, if it was earlier in my career, I don't know that I would have been strong enough to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, it was a little bit later. And let me back up a second. Are we recording or no?
We are, yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you had to do an intro or okay. I was going to say we can kick this thing off, but
Yeah.
cool. We're underway.
We're underway. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Part of my testimony is, and I'll give you the really short version. In high school, I couldn't wait to be out of high school, right? Like, man, this is cool, but I just want to get onto college and,
Yeah.
do the college to get to college. It's awesome for a little bit, not fully satisfying. Now I just want to sign and start my career and play baseball, sign with the Braves in 2000, get in the minor league system. It's a blast. That's really cool for about a year. And then, man, if I just get to the big leagues, like then I'll be fulfilled. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Make it to the major leagues. Man, if I could just make $1 million. Man, if I could just make 10, it's just never good enough.
Yeah.
And all these things in this world that we chase, fame, status, women, drugs, alcohol, you name it. I don't think there's a man that's ever lived that has achieved them and been fully satisfied. And so I got to really experience that when I would reflect back and be like, all right, wait a minute. I've reached every goal I've set out for. Why is this not fulfilling?
Mm-hmm.
So when the situation came, that we were talking about with the White Sox,
Yeah.
I had that kind of history and that I hate to say I had wisdom. I did have some past knowledge and some wisdom of, okay, this ain't doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't trade it for anything. We're playing baseball. We're way overpaid, totally spoiled. I mean, it's not reality. It's a fantasy world. It really is.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I knew that, man, you keep pursuing this and expecting it to be like the end all be all and totally fulfill it ain't gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happened, again, that's why I say it was a really easy decision because I knew that again I could continue to pursue baseball, but I felt like at the time that I would be disobedient if I continued to do that.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because very shortly, I mean, within days, there was just some small things that happened and continue to happen up till now of confirmation that was the right move and the right timing. And, that's exactly where I needed to be at the time. And
Yeah.
at the time it was to step away. So yeah. Again, one of my, speaking of money, one of my favorite quotes, no idea who said it, probably 100 years ago. If we set our heart and mind on money, we'll be equally disappointed whether we get it or whether we don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true on with these things we think that will fulfill us. And they just don't. I mean, I think it's by God's design that there's a hole there in our heart that can only be filled with Jesus. And we can fight that and we can try to fill it with other things, and they may bring instant satisfaction, but in the end, it's a dead end.
Isn't that crazy too? Because you can try it over and over again. Like in business, I've seen that where you think you're going to hit this goal and feel this way. You're going to hit this goal and feel this way. You're going to hit this goal and feel this way. And you never do. But then you can try the exact same thing as a guy with your hobbies. It's like, I'm going to build this gun and feel this way. I'm going to buy this truck and feel this way. And it just
feels good for a minute.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes, and then you feel exactly how you always
what's
have.
next.
And no matter how many times you've been through it, you can continue to make that mistake.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I did want to interrupt for a quick minute right here and let you know about some supplements I've been taking. I did shy away from supplements for a long time. I was always cautious about what they were made out of, where they were from, and who the team was behind the brands. But over the last couple of years, I've got to meet the team at Mountain Ops from top to bottom, and they are an amazing group of humans. I've got to know the CEO, Trevor Farnes, really well, and he is a mission-focused individual that cares about humans living a better quality of life so that they can have that abundant life. So over the last couple of years, he has helped me add some things that have changed the game for me. One of those things that I've added is creatine from Mountain Ops. It helps me maintain some muscle mass, but also it's a big player in cognitive function, one of the most researched supplements out there. Also, I've added reds, greens, and protein, all from Mountain Ops. What I found as a busy professional, always on the run, I do eat a whole foods diet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but on the go, it's hard to get enough vegetables, fruits, and protein. So I've added that from Mountain Ops, and it has significantly changed the game. I can feel it in my performance. I haven't got sick for a long time, and I can certainly feel it in my mental clarity as well. The last thing I've added is the Mountain Tough Hydrate product for the backcountry, for hunting season. When I'm in the hills, I do run short on those electrolytes. We even have a Mountain Tough flavor, the Mountain Tough Lemon Lime Hydrate, and that is a game changer for hydration in the backcountry. So I keep it really simple. That is all I've added to my protocol, and it has certainly helped me, and I certainly believe in the team and the culture behind Mountain Ops. They have started an initiative that's been around for a while called Conquer Hunger. Conquer Hunger is giving meals to hungry kids that aren't getting enough food, and they've given out over 6 million meals plus to kids through their Conquer Hunger initiative. So every order that happens at Mountain Ops, a percentage of that order goes to Conquer Hunger. So certainly an incredible company, an incredible culture. As a listener to the show, you do get an exclusive offer to Mountain Ops, so make sure you check that out. The offer is incredible as a first-time purchase at mountainops.com. So build your order if it's your first time. They are offering you a 20% exclusive discount. All you need to do is enter the promo code Mountain Tough, all one word, all caps, for 20% off your first order at mountainops.com.
Been there. And unfortunately, I will continue to do that and expect a different result out of it. And then, get a sanity check and realize, did it again.
Yeah. Where did your strong faith, your faith journey, your testimony, did a lot of that come from your parents growing up?
It did. Yeah, we grew up in the church, went to a bunch of different schools, a lot of them Christian schools. So my dad played and then he coached for a while. So our lives were always in different cities, and we'd always typically migrate back to Fort Scott for the wintertime. Kansas, here where I'm at now, where our ranch is. But then summertime we'd bounce all over. And so we were in a ton of different schools and lived in different cities, but grew up in the church, both parents, strong believers. I would say that I grew up more feeling like that being a Christian was a lot of things you can't do or that you're not supposed to do. And my faith, I think, was more based off of not going to hell. Like, okay, what is that cut line that allows me to go right instead of left at the end of this?
Yeah.
And it was on into my major league career with some really good chaplains and teammates and probably just life experiences that I started to kind of see a different side of of the purpose of Jesus going to the cross and what that truly allows us to do. And man, I started to see a totally different kind of freedom where it became much less about the things I couldn't do, but now the freedom to do things that I never thought I could do. And one of them, and I really honestly don't even know how to explain it, but one of them is just I don't want to say I don't have fear at all, because I absolutely do, but it's a different type of fear knowing no matter what happens, I win. As a believer, who still screws up continually and so far from perfect, knowing that like this is all it's all almost like just bonus time of what is the worst that can happen. And the end result is heaven. Don't want to die, don't want to leave my kids, I don't want to confuse that with like just recklessness, but there is something so freeing. And it's just a lot of the stuff I used to think was important here is just not that important. Just not that big a deal to stress or worry about, things that I used to make a big deal about. Tell you what, when I knew, and I told you my kids are 22 and 21, and when they were younger and I knew they were saved, like I knew that they had made that decision and God had got a hold of them. It was the biggest lift, the weight off of our shoulders as parents. And it was like overnight, you guys can go wherever you want to go. You can go do, and my daughter did. She was 17. And she took off and went to Mexico with YWAM for 6 months. And maybe I'm just a terrible dad. I don't know, but I had no worries about her going down to Mexico by herself and linking up with this team. And, and then it ended up being just a life changer for her. And I used to lead her in Bible studies, and about a month into Mexico, I find myself on the phone with her, and she's leading me in studies and teaching me things that I had no idea. And so just that freedom, I think I'm trying to think how to say this without feeling like I'm bashing the American church, but I think there is some things we're a little confused on here. And one of them is that this following Jesus thing is now all these things that I can't do.
The rules.
Or that the road I've been down, there's no way that can be reconciled with God. Like the stuff I've done and the things I used to, or that I am into, like I'm too far gone. And so that's one of my favorite things about the veteran events we do out here. And not to change subjects, but it's been a really neat, and it's mostly with the soft community. And when we host guys and have them out to the ranch, we call it Sneak Attack Jesus, because we don't advertise that this is a Christian thing. You're not coming to church, although the reality is they are. But hey, there's beer, whiskey, cigars, lots of guns, hunting, like it's man stuff.
Yeah.
But we just have it always turns into some real life conversations.
Mm.
And get to share Jesus in a different way that, hey, you can still be a man and have a blast and follow Jesus. This
Yeah.
isn't a one or the other. Like, okay, I got to trade in all the things I enjoy doing, or I can go follow Jesus. No, no, no. There's and what I'll tell a lot of guys is, hey, don't as young believers, don't focus on like, man, I got to stop cussing. I got to stop lying. I got to stop. I got to stop. Start pursuing Jesus and watch all that stuff just become a little less and less attractive.
Mm.
Um, but also be prepared that the devil is going to jump all over.
Yeah.
He's never had to worry about you before.
Yeah. You weren't a threat.
So there will be some attacks there. But instead of this safeguarding of, and, try to put this bubble around us, or protecting our, ourselves and our walk, I think can be crippling at times,
Mm-hmm.
because then we can sit back and have so much safety around us and all these safeguards, um, to protect our walk, that what are we doing for the kingdom?
Mm-hmm.
Are we, like you said earlier, do we have opportunities that we miss because we're, um, either afraid or feel unprepared
Mm.
to pursue it? But
Mountain Tough is the fitness app trusted by the dedicated. Mountain Tough ethos is backed by, we've always wanted to be the best in the world at helping our customers become more mentally tough. So inside the Mountain Tough app, you're not only going to find all of our physical training programs, but you're going to find additional training as well so that you can stay sharp physically, mentally, spiritually, and nutritionally. The Mountain Tough app also allows you to train no matter where you are, anytime, anywhere. Additionally, the Mountain Tough app is going to have programs from beginners all the way up to elite athletes. And all of our programming is structured in a way that you can start with no gear at body weight, and you can go all the way up to programming that is full gear. So you can do that in a robust home gym or your local gym. There's no excuse for you not to start today. With Mountain Tough, you can conquer your goals with the ideal program for your lifestyle and schedule. Train with equipment or just your body weight on your phone, tablet, TV, or web browser. Most importantly, Mountain Tough will help you train your mindset so you are always ready for anything life throws your way. Mountain Tough is offering the Mountain Tough podcast listeners an incredible offer. 6 weeks free on the Mountain Tough app. All you need to do is use the code MTNPOD to redeem your 6 weeks of training. That'll be a 14-day free trial plus a whole additional 4 weeks of training. Just go to mountaintough.com and enter code MTNPOD for your 6 weeks free on the best-in-class physical and mental training app. Yeah, I don't want to miss them. I think that will be a regret for people, even though God will probably give you later opportunities, but missing some of those callings, I don't think is what any guy wants, because I think, deep down, men are warriors and we are built for battle and we are looking for a battle to fight. And, the spiritual battle, the war is real. And so that's one that we all can fight and participate in that fight. And I love how you started the faith conversation, because I think that what you were talking about there is right sizing. And I think when we start to right size that we are going to heaven for eternity, then everything else we're dealing with here in this time, in this moment on this earth does start to diminish if we can constantly kind of right size the problem and right sizing that we've already won, right sizing that we are on the side of a big God that's already defeated the enemy. That right sizing can really, help us kind of wrap our mind around some of these things that can consume us or overwhelm us or stress us out. And, right sizing is so helpful because, this time here on this earth is just a vapor. It's going to be gone before we know it.
That's right. And trust me, I'm already seeing that as a grandpa, 45. You just look back, you're like, man, I remember when my dad was 45 and I thought he was pretty old then. Like he's getting up there. Now I'm that guy and 50's coming and on and on. And I don't want to look back with a bunch of regrets or a bunch of time spent trying to protect my family or myself or this foundation or some business or the finances, and just have a grasp of these things. Doesn't mean I'm not going to heaven. It might mean that get up there and be like, man, you're in.
Yeah.
But golly, did you miss some unbelievable opportunities? Just from not letting go of those things. And it has to happen daily. It's one of those that do we truly put on the armor every morning? Almost like a soldier going in. Guy goes in an operation, he's going to know if he doesn't have his plate carrier, his helmet, like he's going to obviously feel there's something missing here.
Oh yeah.
And I feel unprotected. And I don't know why this is the case. I would love to just ask for the armor one time and not have to continually, pray for that. But on the other hand, if we didn't, then we may not, we may feel like we may not need God. So, but my point here is it is a conscious effort constantly of, putting that armor on and pulling God into it and saying, hey, open-handed, where do you need me? And a lot of times it may not look like what we want or what we have planned. And I can promise you, when I was playing ball, even towards the end, I never thought that I would be involved in having a foundation to support the vets, but for sure, be involved in the law enforcement side and the human trafficking side. And
you had no idea. Yeah.
Oh, no clue. But I'm so glad I listened to that because most, there's been plenty of times where I don't and ignore it. But it's been some of the most fulfilling work I've ever got to be a part of.
That's incredible. And the foundation it's doing the trafficking and the veteran work. Both are under the foundation name.
Yeah, both under E3 Ranch Foundation. And obviously two kind of separate wings of it. The veteran piece we've been doing for quite a while. It actually started when I was playing in DC, and I got to go actually before when we'd go in town and play against the Nationals. I got to go spend some time at Walter Reed and just go there in the mornings and hang with the guys, go in there, support them, hear their stories, love on them. And then when I got to play for the Nationals in DC, I got to spend more time at Walter Reed. And I noticed, a lot of the guys that I was seeing in there, I'd see the following year and just stay in touch with. A lot of them loved to hunt, and they hadn't been able to hunt because they had been deployed for, the past however many years. And my wife and we live on our ranch in Kansas, and we happen to have really good deer hunting. So I was like, perfect. You guys, this is before the foundation. I was like, you guys fly out to the ranch in the off season. We just started hosting guys, and next thing we know, we started a foundation and started doing that. So
that's incredible.
The veteran piece has been great because it just kind of, we have a veteran coordinator now that is out here full time. He's a Marine, and it's just kind of runs itself. So we'll do these events, and guys will come in, and a few years ago, I was the one here coordinating all the food, the travel, all the tree stands, and the tags, all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm so spoiled now because now I can literally show up the day of the event, and everything is just set up. The ranch is ready, and the lodge, and just be able to hang with the guys for 4 or 5 days. So yes, that is one side of it. And then the counter human trafficking and global response, crisis response stuff, it would be on the other side.
That's incredible. And people can support the foundation. You have big donors, monthly donors, all sorts of donors.
Yeah, man, it's been been one of those that there's never this huge nest egg of money like we want, as somebody that has a foundation, like, man, if we could just get this big pot of money. But we've never needed to do something and not been able to do it. So it's been such a cool God thing of, as much as we may sit around and think, okay, here's next year's budget and here's the things we have to get to. The reality is it's going to be there when we need it. I mean, he has just proven year after year that when things pop up, Afghanistan, for example, which was not totally in our lane.
Yeah.
But we got involved, and one thing led to another. And then Ukraine right after that, we were able to do some good work there. And look at the budget and you're like, well, I don't know that we can afford this. And then we just dive in and it works out. So
God just
anyway,
provides.
To answer your question, yeah, we've got some awesome people that support it, and very, very grateful for those that are, investing in it.
That's awesome. Well, I do want to be respectful of your time, Adam. And I know we're a hair over, but I really appreciate you jumping on and, sharing some of your testimony and some of your pursuit of your calling and leaning into where God was calling you. I love that story so much because I think, we're all of us are hearing different things from God on what he wants us to do. And just having the courage and the ears and the eyes to follow that is amazing. And I'm excited to connect with you more, but I really appreciate you jumping on.
Man, anytime. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we got a lot more to chat about.
For sure.
And I look forward to that, man. I feel like we just scratched the surface. Like all these topics, I feel like we could spend an hour or two on. So we may have to schedule another one of these and continue some of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we got to get you to Montana.
Oh, hey, you don't have to twist my arm, buddy. I love it up there.
What a phenomenal conversation with Adam. Remember, every episode we are looking for that golden nugget. What can we apply to our lives? What can we practically apply today, tomorrow, this evening to level up, to stay dangerous, to stay always ready, to live this abundant life? Adam shared something that he did not unpack deeply today, but if you read about it or watch the videos about it online, it is profound. The reason he made the decision to leave the MLB, there was the anti-trafficking calling that he felt from God, but there are some videos out there that unpack the family values that also led to that decision. He talked about it briefly just for a second on today's episode, where he shared not being able to bring his son in to the facility anymore and not being able to have his son around pro ball, which was so important to him. Family trumped his career, and he made the decision to focus on his family rather than pursue more of his career. That is a practical golden nugget I want you guys to think about as you are processing today's episode. Thanks so much for being here. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.